Hello again, everyone. Today I'm going to be doing a What's in My Pen Case video. So this is a Galen case, and it is the 14 Kaweco pocket pen size case, which as of the time of filming, this is currently out of stock everywhere. But I would love to get another one because I think it's a really great case and it holds pocket pens perfectly. But I wanted to go ahead and go through these pens since it had been a while since I had gone through a What's in My Pen Case video. So I've kind of switched it up a little bit. I do have some Kaweco Sports in here. That's essentially the size that this case is. So anything that is maybe just a little bit bigger or the same size or smaller than a Kaweco Sport size pen will fit in this case. So I do have quite a few plastic sports. Oh, sorry. And I have to apologize about my fingers because I have been swapping inks in and out of pens all morning. It's my day off today, so or one of my days off. So I've been messing with that, partially in preparation for doing videos on the channel. But I've washed my hands several times, and then this time I was just like, I'm done. Like, I'm not going to wash my hands again before the video. So there you go. But I do have quite a few of the plastic sport pens from Kaweco, but I'm actually going to be getting a different case for those because this case is going to be more for metal / nicer pocket pens. So that's what I have in here. So I'm going to go through, and I also have a book that I'm going to do some pen testing in so that you can see what's in these pens. A couple of them do have some fun nibs on them, so I thought it would be fun to do the testing. So this is my Galen A5 leather folio that I have a notebook in that I'm going to do some testing. This is Neem paper here. These pieces of paper here that I was using as a bookmark are from Birmingham Pen Company. They are Tomoe River paper, but I'm not going to be using those today. I'm just going to be using the Neem paper. So let's go ahead and put this underneath the case. So I'll go through what's in here first, and then I will do a quick testing of them. I'm not going to do the quick brown fox and all of that. I'm just going to write down what the pens are and what the nibs are, and perhaps the inks if I can remember. So let's start on this side. So here, and then this is also an illustration of what will fit in this case. And I really wish companies made more pocket pen cases. I mean, I don't have an extensive collection of pocket pens, but it is kind of nice to have a case that specifically fits pocket pens because then you don't have all kinds of extra space. I'm really all about sort of economy of space in all of these pen cases. So these fit really well, it's satisfying to me and my OCD. So let's start on this side. I do have a couple of blank spots, and that is because either I am waiting for a pen to come, or here I don't have anything allotted for this. I'm thinking that, at some point, if I get another Franklin Kristoff Model 45, which is what these three are, I might put it here. I probably won't be getting any more Sailor pocket pens, which is what this is. So I think it's really just waiting for another Model 45 from Franklin Kristoff, because I really like Franklin Kristoff. So like I was saying, these three here are Franklin Kristoff Model 45 pens. So they're essentially, they have a few pocket pen versions, but this is one of the least expensive pocket pen versions that they have. It's quite nice and compact, but when you post it, it makes a really lovely size pen, at least for my hands. And I really like the grip. It has a very comfortable grip. The threads are up here at the end, but they never seem to interfere with my writing with this pen. I feel like it's a really good size. And these can either be eyedropper filled, which I have, these two are eyedropper filled, or they can take cartridges, but they will not fit a converter because the inside is too small. So this one I do have a cartridge with, and I found that this particular one with the cartridge does not, sometimes I have some issues with the nib starting or drying out. I don't know if it's the nib, I don't know if it's the ink, or if it's just the fact that it's a cartridge instead of dropper fill. Dropper fill will deliver ink really well to the nib of the fountain pen, but it could be one of those factors, but I'll test them at the end and you'll see. So this, I believe, is, I bought this one used. I bought it on Peyton Street Pens used, and it came with a fine cursive italic, which they claimed they did not know who had done the cursive italic because it's not marked anywhere. My guess is that it might be Matsuyama, because that is the person who used to do the nib grinds for Franklin Kristoff, and this is an older model, so or an older version of this model. I think it's like cocoa cream or something like that. That was this edition. They come out with a lot of special edition pens, so oftentimes you won't be able to get the same color again. I just thought this was really pretty, and it was less than full retail on Peyton Street Pens, and it works great, so I'm happy with that. This one is a special edition that was made specifically for Wonder pens. Oh, and the ink that I have in here, the ink that I have in all these pens will be revealed when I do the testing at the end. So this one's sort of like a smoky brown color, and then the nib I have on here is just what came with it. It was actually the last one that they had in stock. It came with a 1.4 Franklin Kristoff nib. These smaller ones take size 5 nibs. And it works so well, and it's such a smooth, beautiful nib that I've just left it on there just because it works beautifully. I often have custom grinds on each of these because it's so nice to, and fairly inexpensive to add a custom grind. It used to be Matsuyama that was doing their nib grinds, and now it's Nagahara. But it's like, you know, $25 to add it to your pen, which if you know anything about custom nib grinds, it's going to be way more expensive if you send it off to someone. So it's kind of nice to just add that to it. And that's why I have custom grinds on most of my Franklin Kristoff pens. So this particular one is the antique glass version, and this is actually a color that comes up from time to time in different models. So if this is one that appeals to you, it'll probably come up again. I did a pen testing of this. I will put a link down below to that, the one that I did on the channel. But I'll be testing it again today along with all of the other ones. And this has a broad SIG nib, which is a stub italic gradient nib, which is their in-house grind, which is not done by their special grinder. It's their, well, not that she's not special. They have an in-house person who does their SIG grinds named Audrey, and they're really great grinds. This is a broad. And then, like I said, I have a little spot waiting for perhaps for one of these. I change around my cases so often, so who even knows if those empty spaces will still be there. And this is a Sailor Pro Gear Mini. I purchased my first Pro Gear Mini, not this one, I have the pink one. I purchased it full price, and that is kind of expensive for a mini pen. This one I got about half price, which makes it about $100. On Endless Pens, but the nib that comes on this is always the medium fine, which I'm not that crazy about, and I kind of wanted to make this nib a little bit more fun on this one, so I've actually swapped out my nib that I got on one of these pens. This I purchased on Amazon. It is a Sailor Pro Gear Profit, which is a made for the Japanese market version, but it has the same nibs, and you can get them in 14K or 21 karat. But I just basically, because the nibs are the same size, and I wanted to have a more fun nib on this little mini pen, I had a zoom nib on this one that's 21K, and I just swapped them. And so now this one has the medium fine, and this one has the zoom nib. And for some reason, I actually do find that it's a little bit easier to use the zoom nib on a shorter pen, because it's a lot easier for me to either have the cap off or, oh, sorry. I just moved my window where I'm looking at my hands here. It's back now. So I find it a little bit easier to manipulate the zoom nib with a smaller pen. I don't know why. It just, this particular setup is a little bit easier for me to use the zoom nib and feels a little more comfortable to me. And I actually find that the medium fine is better on that other one, so it all worked out just great. And then this one is a Traveler's Company pen, travel pen, and this is another one that I profiled on the channel recently along with my other Traveler's Company pen, which is on this side. And with this one, I swapped it out for a Visconti nib. So I will put the video where I talked about those two pens. I'll put the link down below for that. And then it works great. It's a broad nib, but because of the ink I have in here, it's not super broad. So in here, I do have a cartridge. These pens are a little too small, even for the Kaweco converters. So you have to either do a cartridge or fill up the cartridge with ink. This is just a cartridge that I have in here. And I wanted to go back and actually tell you that they are making converters for these now. This, I just have a cartridge in here. It's probably almost out, so hopefully I can still do a good pen test for you. But they are making converters for these now that fit in the Mini. Or maybe they were making for a while and it just made it to the USA market. Okay, and then this little guy is a Moonman Wankai in clear. It's a clear demo pen that you can eyedropper fill, which I have done here. And I have an Esterbrook medium size 5 nib in here, which works great. This is a wonderful combination. And this I actually put in my most recent favorites videos as one of my favorites. I'll also link to that favorites video so you can see that. And then this is a Schoen Design pocket pen. It's the Pocket 6, which holds a size 6 nib in a little pocket size body here. So it's a lot like the Wankai. It just screws onto the back, and then they have all kinds of different colorways. I added a brass grip section, which is very, very nice. And I felt like it was a little too light without that. So that's why I added that. And this just has, oh, this actually does have a special nib on it now. This was a Peyton Street Pens custom grind. It's a fine architect. That's what I have on here now. I just used to have a fine nib on it, but I swapped that out just to have a little bit of fun with this pen. And then, so these three are Kawecos. And actually, these two have some special nibs on there. This one just has a fine nib, so I'm not going to open that one up. But this one actually has a really nice... so this may look like I dropped it on the floor and it's broken, but it's not. It is a Waverly nib. So there is this website called FP Nibs, which is located in Spain, I believe. And they have a lot of stock nibs that they will put custom grinds on. And I had them do that with this, which is really, really great. I will put a link to them below. They're fantastic. The nibs themselves, they're all priced in euros. All of the pricing is in euros on their website. But even with that, they're a little bit inexpensive, I find, but the biggest cost there is the shipping. It can cost about 30 euros to have all of them shipped. So I've done a couple of orders from them, so I try to, make sure that I get several different nibs at a time. But these individual nibs, even with the custom grinds here, are fairly inexpensive. And you'll see what the Waverly looks like when I do the testing. This is a fine Waverly, so that the Waverly nib has that little upturn at the bottom. And I did actually want to quickly show you in my fountain pen, or my little watercolor setup that I have put together. And this is all Galen. In another Galen case, I have some brushes, some additional pens, pocket pens in here, but I did want to show you that the main Kaweco All Sport, these are all Sports, which are the aluminum sports. Oh, except for this one. This one's brass. So I had gotten another sort of similar type of custom grind nib on this one. This is extra fine, and it's a posting nib, so it's basically the opposite of a Waverly. It's curved down as opposed to curved up. And this is actually really great for sketching. I'll test this one as well so you can see what I mean, because I probably won't show that one again in another video anytime soon. And then this one is the latest special edition All Sport the golden espresso, and I do have a medium gold nib in this one. And this was also featured in my favorites, which I already said I have linked down below that video. And then, so this is the regular Traveler's Company pen in brass, and this, I replaced the nib with a Schmidt nib, which again, you'll see in that video that I've linked down below if you'd like to check that out. And then the last one in here, so this is an all brass pen. So let's see. Yeah. So this one is a Karis Kustoms. This is a pocket brass. I think they called it, or not brass, I'm sorry, copper. This one's brass, this one's copper. So I think they called it the Copper Mini, kind of like the Cooper Mini. But this just has a regular fine Bach nib on it, and then it has a Kaweco converter in here, which fits great. It's perfect fit. And they don't make these pocket pens anymore. I purchased this secondhand, and it's actually been quite a nice little surprise. It is very heavy though. Brass and copper, which is what this is. Copper is even more heavy than brass. Copper pens are quite heavy, and so it's that's part of the reason why when I saw this being sold secondhand, I thought, oh, I want to try that, because I don't want a full-size copper pen, because that's going to just be super heavy. And even this as a pocket pen is pretty heavy. But let's go on to the testing now. So I'm actually going to do this little guy first since he's separate. This is a rose gold Kaweco All Sport, which I purchased on Amazon for quite the steal. I think it was $40 at the time. So I just did try to prime this nib so I could test it for you. So hopefully it will work pretty well. So this is the Kaweco All Sport Rose Gold with an extra fine posting nib. So this is an extra fine, and it actually, I would say that the ink flow is even less than an extra fine in this particular nib. The oh, this has De Atramentis document brown. So what I like about this is that I can get really nice fine lines for sketching, and this is a permanent ink. So, you know, if I'm drawing sort of like a mountain here, I can get really nice fine lines, and then I can turn it over because it is curved. I can turn it over and then get sort of these broader strokes here, which are kind of nice. So it's fine, and then broader on the other side. And the more I apply a little bit of pressure, I'm talking about a little bit of pressure, you can get a darker line here. And the ink is fairly dry, so I haven't been using this nib very much because I got it fairly recently, but I'm really excited about this aspect of it, of being able to sketch really nicely. So that is with that little travel watercolor setup, which I've also done a video on, which I will link below. So let's get back to these pocket pens that are in here. So this is that Franklin Kristoff. Let me make, yep, okay, we're flowing. So this is, I'm just going to abbreviate the Franklin Kristoff model 45. And like I said, I'm not sure of the exact colorway, but this has a fine cursive italic, which I think is Matsuyama. I'm gonna put that in parentheses. And then in here I have a diamine. Oops. So now that I'm saying it diamine, so people have corrected me so much. Now that I'm saying it that way, I'm spelling it that way. Diamine, because I used to say diamine. Diamine, this is the Prussian blue. Prussian blue. And it's a cartridge. But it actually writes quite well. You can get some nice line variation with the fine cursive italic there. And then let's see if I should zoom in just a little bit more so you can see that a little better. And then the next one is this special edition for Wonder Pens. So this is the Franklin Kristoff Model 45. Wonder Pens special edition. Wonder Pens is a stationery shop in Canada. They have actually a great selection. And so this has a 1.4 stub nib. And then this is Franklin Kristoff Urushi Red ink, which is lovely. This nib is so super smooth with this particular ink. The Franklin Kristoff inks are actually really, really great. They've been I think someone called them a sleeper ink, and I totally agree with that. It's surprising how good they are. Okay, so then this is the Franklin Kristoff Model 45. This is the antique glass color. And then this has a broad sig nib. And then in here is linen toolbar. Wen Shan Puchong Tea is the ink. And this is one of my all-time favorite inks ever since I got it. Okay. And then I actually cannot remember which cartridge I have in this Sailor Pro Gear, Gear Mini in green with a zoom nib. And the zoom nib, you can get really broad lines far down. The more you lift up your angle, you get a narrower line side to side and up top to bottom. So this is one of the Shikiori inks. I'll see if I can figure out which one that is and put the name down below, but I can't remember right now. It is a Sailor Shikiori ink though. Okay, and then this one is the Travelers Company Factory Green. With a Visconti. Let me raise that up a little bit so you can see. Visconti bold nib. And then this is a diamine. The struggle's real, folks. Ancient copper. But this nib in here actually gives you some nice line variation, depending on how much pressure you put. And I've had several people tell me before, you know, don't put a lot of pressure on your nibs, and I completely agree with that. When I'm saying pressure, I'm generally not putting like a ton of hard pressure on my nibs. It's a very fine distinction. Okay, and then this is the Moon Man. Wankai with an Esterbrook medium nib. And then the ink in here is Jerbon Vert Atlantide. And there is some light silver sparkle in this color, which I can make out if I'm looking at the ink, you know, completely, if I'm getting down to the table level. I'll try and see if I can bring that out once it's dried a little bit more at the end, because I'll show you these closer up. Okay, and then we have this Shown Design. I'm going to try and fit all these in on one page. So I'm going to Shown Design Pocket 6. And again, I don't remember the color. It's like galactic something or other, space something. I can't remember. And this has a fine architect nib from Peyton Street Pens. And then the ink in here is Monteverde Purple Rain. Which, you know, I've kind of picked on Monteverde a little bit because for their inks being not that great, but this is actually a wonderful ink. It flows really well. It's a very wet ink, but so make sure you want it in a pen where it flows really nicely. Okay, so this is this strange little Waverly nib here. So this is the Kaweco All Sport. And this one I don't think I've shown before. This is the distressed denim version, and I'd kind of had it on my wish list for a long time, and I finally found it at a good sale price on Amazon, and I got it and I was like, this is a beautiful, beautiful pen. I actually really like the weathered denim look on this one, with a fine Waverly nib from fpnibs.com. And let's see, so this one I believe is Linen Toolbar Indigo. I think it's actually Indigo Tegan. I think that's the color. And then this one is also really nice in that you can get some variation if you're putting the pen down low. You don't get a lot, but there is some, and you can write on the reverse and get a very fine line. And it actually flows really nicely. I think one of the ideas with this Waverly nib is you can write at any angle and it will look good. So those are just two, the Waverly and the posting nib were two types of nibs that I'd never tried before. And I thought, oh, well, let's just go ahead and put them on here. I added that to an order for a sailor, or not a sailor, a Pelican nib that I got from them, special grind, which I will show on the channel at some point in the future. Okay, so this is a Kaweco All Sport again. I'm not going to put the individual names of these. I don't want the video to run too long because we're almost at a half hour here. And then this is with a gold medium nib. And then the ink in here is Kobe Vintage Sepia. And this is just a really nice smooth nib. And then we have just sort of the regular old nib on this next one, on the brass version. This is the Kaweco. Make sure, yeah, you can still see Kaweco All Sport. Oops, Sport. Brass with a fine nib. I got this one used as well, and it came with the fine nib, which actually writes really beautifully. And I've forgotten what ink I have in here. Oh, I think it's actually De Atramentis Urban Gray, because I've been trying to use that as sort of a sketching pen as well. And then two more left. And then this is the Travelers Company brass pen. Oh, this one sometimes has hard starts with this particular ink cartridge. I think the ink is a little dry. It's Diamine Safari, and I think it does tend to dry out in the nib a little bit. Uh-oh. I think we might have to pass on this one today because, well, no, I think we can get it. Okay, there we go. I've gotten it flowing again. You could also dip it in some water too. I just don't have any water handy right here today. So this is the Travelers Company pen with a medium Schmidt nib. And this has Diamine Safari. And then here we go with the last one. I'm actually going to turn this sideways and do it over here so you can see it a little better, so it's not all squished down on the bottom. And this one does not post, so it's also a little awkward to hold, but it's actually, I mean, it's not as awkward as you would think, actually. Oh, whoops, looks like I got a little bit of that Safari ink on me. Okay, so this is a Kustoms. Oops, here we go. Oops, I haven't written with this one in a little while. Kustoms, is that Kustoms? Oh my goodness, let's just start over here. Kustoms. And this is the Copper Mini. And then this just has a fine Bach nib on it. And this ink is Sailor Manyo Umi. All right, so that's it for today. That's what's in my pen case, my mini pen case from Galen. I'm going to show you some of these closer up. Hopefully that will get into focus there. And I did want to show you the, if I could, yeah, that's just not going to come off. The sparkle on the Moonman ink. It's very, very subtle, but there you go. And then here's that lovely case. I'm going to pull out a little bit there. And that's all I had for you today. So feel free to subscribe to keep track of future videos on my channel. If you enjoyed this video, give it a like. And if you had any questions, feel free to ask below. Oh, looks like I keep getting ink stains on here, but I'm actually kind of liking it. So that's kind of fun. So now I've added another little Safari ink stain there on the corner. Love it. All right. Like I said, if you had any questions, feel free to ask below and I'll answer when I can. And until next time, have a great day. Thanks so much. Bye.